Hey PC World fans, Adam here with Gordon.
Hey.
And I gotta say, people are excited about your review of Alienware's Area 51M. They want to know how it performs, they want to know how it performs, they want to know how it performs.
That's all people want to know about. We're going to get right into that, but I want to say click forward, skip forward later for the most important thing, which is the graphics in this laptop. You want to hear what I have to say. I don't think I've heard the information anywhere else. You're going to want to hear it. So after you hear the performance stuff, stick around and at least check out what I'm going to say about the graphics in this laptop. The holy grail of laptop features.
Nice. All right. Well, then let's dig into it. How's it doing?
Let's not waste any time with plot. Let's get right into it. Cinebench R15 multi-threaded performance.
Okay.
Everybody runs this benchmark. It's a great, great benchmark for finding out how well a CPU performs in a laptop, in a computer, and bam, that bar on top is Area 51. In fact, get used to that bar on top, folks. Area 51, 2030 smokes everybody. And the very significant thing is the next one on this list. Acer Predator Helios 500, 8-core Ryzen 7 2700.
Also a desktop part.
Also a desktop part jammed into a laptop, but probably can't really put out the same amount of heat, keep up with the heat, keep up with the power. It gets beat down pretty badly by the 9900K. It's not that bad on desktop, but here the Acer's just giving up more because it can't keep it as cool, can't push it as hard. The Alienware's pushing it damn near as hard as a desktop CPU.
Whew, that's not even close.
Not even close. To give you an idea, I reviewed the CPU some months ago. The score I got with MCE off, multi-core enhancement off, is 2065. You turn it on, it's about 2200, 2190, but we're going with off. This chip actually behaves like a 9900K with MCE off, default speeds, as people like to say, but you're looking at 2067 versus 2030. So basically, almost
right
the
there.
Same performance as a desktop part.
Dang.
Again, that's good because you put a desktop CPU into a laptop, you don't always get the same performance. We're kind of seeing that with their Acer. Although, to AMD's credit, it still smokes those 6-core Intel parts, and the 9900K also smokes all of those 6-core mobile and desktop parts. It's just a beatdown. Those cores, 8 cores, hyperthreading, 4.6 to 4.7 to 5 gigahertz, it's fast.
Dang. All right. Well, what about in single thread loads?
So single-threaded does matter. The world is not multi-threaded. I wish it was. It isn't. A lot of things don't work that way. iTunes, looking at you. Photoshop, looking at you. There's just a lot of applications that actually single-threaded performance is as important, probably more important than multi-threaded performance. It's mostly a tie here because those other CPUs, once you sort of unshackle them from dealing with their thermals, they run up at higher clocks. Really good showing by the Origin PC Evo 17S, a decently big laptop as well, 17 inches, fairly thick. 206, essentially a tie with the 9900K, because let's face it, single-threaded, these things are all running at 4.9 to 5 gigahertz. And the i7 8700K, very good at 202. Most of the Coffee Lake H desktop or laptop pots are all about high 170s to 180. You know, they don't clock up as high. Very good performance. Not enough to probably change everybody's world, but definitely in front of everybody else. But world is not just simply about 3D rendering and also loads that are very short. We also run Handbrake to this. We take a 30 gig file, it's a 1080p, then we use Handbrake to transcode it using the Android tablet preset. Okay. We've been doing this for a long time, so we have a very nice long database of results. CPUs and laptops that heat up tend to slow down as they sort of throttle back on speeds from the heat. And again, Area 51, 900K easily smokes everybody else, including, you know, good showing against that Ryzen. That is an 8-core Ryzen 7 2700. We're looking at number 2 spot. Good showing for AMD, but that 9900K way in front. And of course, the 6-core is a good step back. And then you'll see as you look down the list, some of the 6 cores, as you heat them up and they're thinner, they're smaller, they're lighter, clock starts slowing down. So you can see a pretty big spread between all the 8750Hs here. But, you know, people don't care about CPU, they care about graphics. You buy an Alienware laptop for gaming. So we're gonna get into some graphics benchmarks. First up, the classic FutureMark, owned by UL now. 3D Mark Firestrike 1.1. This is just the graphic subscore. It doesn't consider CPU. None of that stuff. It's basically what the performance of the GPU is. Running DX11.
Okay.
Hey, look who's in front. Alienware Area 51 R1 with the GeForce RTX 2080. There's no Max-Q here. This thing is just hauling, right? And this is a DX11 benchmark. It doesn't really load you up with all kinds of more modern workloads. Firestrike has been around for a few years now. So I also ran TimeSpy. This is a more modern benchmark. Those more shader work at it. And it's also DX12. And as you can see, once you get to a workload that sort of stresses out that 2080 part, it steps further away from those other laptops.
Wow.
Number 2, GS75 with its GeForce RTX 2080 Max-Q. I guess you could say it's a decent performance. It is a 5-pound laptop. A desktop card probably weighs 2 pounds, so that's a decent showing. But what I'm really interested in is how does it look against 1080 parts? As you can see, it just definitely stomps all those 1080s, the 1080 Max-Qs. The Alienware 17R4, slightly older, but we are only looking at graphics performance. 10,400 versus 7,000 is not even a contest. So good showing for the GeForce RTX 2080.
Yeah, right.
Let's also look at some games. This is Rise of the Tomb Raider. We run it at 1920 resolution, very high setting default, and also in DX11 mode because we started in DX11. We're not doing DX12. Again, 2080, decent step up. In this result, I do have an Origin with an overclocked GeForce GTX 1080, and that's with a desktop processor. That's with a i7 8700K, 138 frames a second, which probably before today was the fastest we've seen. We're looking at 162 out of the Alienware, and again, this is not even really working that hard. If we crank up resolution, if we crank it up DX12, there's other things where the 2080 just, as all the reviews we've seen on desktop parts, it is a much faster part over a 1080.
Wow.
Middle-earth, same thing, 197 frames a second. Next up is an Alienware 17R5 with an overclocked GTX 1080, 161. Decent margin over a 1080. I mean, this, I wouldn't say go out and upgrade from, because I had 1080, I'd still be happy. But what I'm saying is there's a real performance delta between these two laptops. Yeah. 2080 is no joke. It is no joke, and it is a fast GPU, especially when you get to ray tracing. So this is 3D Mark Port Royal. It is a ray tracing only test. It is a very, very strenuous ray tracing benchmark. I am running 1.0 and 1.1. The only changes in 1.1 is they added better multi-GPU support. Since none of these have been running multi-GPU, the results are basically very comparable. There's no difference. As you can see, 5,600, pretty damn good. Look at that. And then look at, so the RTX 2080 Max-Q and the super light GS75, it's about 4,100. And the only other RTX laptop I've seen is Acer Predator Titan 500, which is about 3,000. And of course, everyone else gets 0 because they cannot run this benchmark because you can't run it. At least not yet. We're going to find out. I'm interested to see how you can run GTX with ray tracing features in Port Royal. It won't be pretty, I'm going to guess.
At least it'll be more than 0.
It'll be more than 0, but it may not be that much more than 0. Although, what I'm interested to see is like, well, how does a 2080 in this Alienware do against a laptop GPU? I am a little bugged by the MSI, the GS75, the RTX 2080 Max-Q part really gives up a lot of performance over a desktop part.
Yep.
Let's find out. I actually went ahead and grabbed some numbers on the internet. Thank you, Jared at PC Gamer, for these. These are public numbers he's publishing a story. I just threw these in for a quick comparison. 2080 desktop, 5983. This is the Port Royal graphics score, so CPU is irrelevant here. 5900, Alienware Area 51, 5672, so 5700. Basically about a 5% difference between the Alienware and ray tracing performance versus a full-on desktop Founders Edition 2080 part.
That is not bad.
5% is really not bad. I mean, oftentimes you give up a lot more, and that is very promising. Way more promising than the sort of scary performance you see out of a 2080 Max-Q part. 4,146, you're basically giving up about 40% out of that Max-Q part. Of course, it's 5 pounds. It's 5 pounds. There's laws of physics, and you don't get to make performance out of nothing. The summary and performance on the Area 51 is you're getting damn near desktop performance, 9900K, MCE off, and you're getting damn near RTX 2080 desktop performance out of a laptop.
Wow.
So performance, it's all win, and it basically broke every single record we have. This is the first of the 2080 laptops we've seen, but this one will be the one to beat over the next 12 months, I think. So.
Dang. Just as impressive as the benchmark scores is the battery life.
Yeah,
score,
this
right?
one really surprised me. So for our battery test, we set the screen brightness 250 to 260 nits, airplane mode, earbuds, and then we basically run a movie till it dies because you're not going to play games. Believe me, if you run a game on any gaming laptop, you'll be lucky to get an hour and a half runtime out of it. It's just not possible, frankly. But in normal things you might do with a laptop like this on a plane, which is watch a movie, I was really surprised. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 hours of battery life.
Wow.
And why I'm kind of floored, it's got a decently big battery, 90 watt hours, but this laptop has G-Sync. It has a 1080p 144 hertz G-Sync screen. When you have G-Sync, what it means is the monitor is hooked up directly to the GPU, the graphics card, which means you can't turn off the graphics card and use the integrated graphics.
Yep.
So usually a lot of these gaming laptops, especially the thin and light ones, they will skip the G-Sync and they'll use IGP for light loads like video. So usually battery life gets horrible on G-Sync laptops because you're running the GPU all the time, and to get almost 6 hours of battery life, and I ran it multiple times. I'm very surprised because it's hard to believe you would get 6 hours of runtime out of 144 hertz G-Sync GPU on Core i9 9900K Z390 chipset, which is a desktop chipset that uses more power than the mobile one. Very decent battery life. Quite a surprise.
Wow.
I mean, look, so desktop Origin PC Evo 17 with an 8700K and a 1080 overclock, 2 hours, right? And the absolute worst is the Acer Predator Helios 500 with a desktop Ryzen 7
Right.
and also desktop Vega 56. And by the way, since Ryzen doesn't have integrated graphics, that GPU is hot all the time. So the GPU is hot all the time, the CPU is hot all the time. 72 minutes, basically an hour. No, I'm not beating up on them because that's what you expect out of a big, fat gaming laptop. Battery life is just sort of like always expected to be really poor. And this is not bad for light tasks, for video. Again, you crank up a game on this, I'm sure the battery will not last more than an hour and a half. If you're lucky,
Yep.
you will be lucky to get an hour and a half. So don't even expect to really play it for longer than that. But that is very decent battery life.
Those are some great charts. Those are some great charts. What about the internals? I know we kind of popped off the bottom in our last video, but you've kind of dug a little bit more onto what's going in
Yeah, dug a
there.
little bit more deeper, but let me go over the specs. This particular unit, Core i9 9900K, RTX 2080, full power unit, Max Q and Max P, no such thing. 32 gigs of RAM, DDR4 2400. There are 4 DIMM slots, 2 M.2s, 512 gigs. They're RAID 0 plus a 1 terabyte hard drive. Tobii, the latest version of the Tobii eye tracker, where instead of having the glowy red things blink at you, they used to be near infrared. Now they're in a spectrum where you can't even see it. You wouldn't know there's a Tobii eye tracker in there. 1080p, 144 hertz, G-Sync panel, 4 SODIMM slots. Technically, up to 64 gigs of RAM. I have seen stories of people putting in the newer 32 gig SODIMMs and getting up to 128 gigs, but it's a little weird. They're saying they have to basically put in one SODIMM, boot it up, shut it down, put in the next. My guess is the BIOS probably needs to be updated on this to support 128 gig configurations. 32 gig SODIMMs are not very common and not very cheap, but it's got 4 SODIMMs. It should support it. The CPU supports it. And again, as you can see in this picture, you can see that is a standard issue 9900K. Nothing different. LGA 11.5X socket. Open this sucker up, pull the CPU out, swap it out. Options include 8700, not a K part, 6 cores. 9700K, which is 8 core, no hyperthreading, or 9900K. Those are your 3 CPU options.
For right now.
2060 for right now. 2060 full power, 2070 full power, and 2080 full power are the options. For panel options, 4, all of them 1080. Interestingly, there's 1080p 144 G-Sync, there's 1080p 144 no G-Sync, there's 1080p 60, there is 1080p G-Sync. It's a little odd, but those are your options. My guess is they just don't have a 4K option yet or a 1440p yet. I'm sure they're going to eventually offer one, but nothing to say. The power bricks, I want to make sure that you know there are 2 power bricks. There's a 180, there's a 330, there's also a 240. Depending on what GPU, what CPU combination you get, you will get a different mix of the power bricks based on the design, based on how much you need. They don't want to just send you the most expensive power bricks, the heaviest power bricks, if you don't need it. If you have a 2060, I'm going to imagine you're going to get the 2 180s, right? And if you do boot this laptop up with the 330 or the 180, you will get a warning on boot up saying, hey, you're running a 180. You're not going to get full performance. It'll run. Alienware says 180 will get you less performance than the 330. It's intended to work anyway. In my tests, I'm finding the GPU performance is basically half. So you can still play some games, lower resolution, lower settings. You want full performance, you need both power bricks. Oh, well, last thing, 8.5 pounds, laptop itself, with power bricks, 13 pounds, with a 330 and 180.
Okay.
Let's get on to cooling. Cooling is basically, if I understand that right, there's enough cooling to support the CPU and the GPU, 200 watts for the GPU, and I imagine whatever, 95 watts for the CPU. This is a cooler itself. It's got a ton of dedicated heat pipes, some for the GPU, some for the CPU. Some of them are shared as well. And also Alienware says they use high performance fans that actually have airflow, similar to what you would get out of a desktop. Air is sucked in through the bottom, blown out the back, out the sides. Do not run this on your blanket. A lot of people get into bed. They think they can put performance laptops like this on their bed, on a big down comforter, and play games. Once you do that, you will block up those fans. It'll overheat. Don't do that. Keep it on a hard surface.
Okay.
The real story, though, obviously desktop CPUs have been done in laptops. We've seen it many times. Is this? This is Dell/Alienware's custom GPU. A lot of people say this is Dell graphics form factor, DGFF. It's actually something the Workstation Group created for precision laptops.
Okay.
Alienware says, hey, that's a pretty cool design. We'd like a version of that for Alienware. It's not actually the same. People have already noted this. Precision laptop DGFF is not the same as an Alienware DGFF. Alienware said the connector really refers to the connector, but positioning of the voltage regulation of the memory and all this stuff, it could be different potentially.
Interesting.
So it's custom built for the Alienware itself.
Yeah, but why is this better than MXM?
Right.
Because that's been done before.
MXM has been done before. In fact, Alienware in the past has done MXM. They loved MXM. I had a long conversation with them today about why DGFF, custom. In fact, it's even a custom DGFF over MXM. And it's because they're like, look, MXM is not really a supported spec by NVIDIA and AMD. They don't say, hey, here's 2080 for laptops. Here's how you should build this board for it. Basically, you're saying you're on your own. There is an existing MXM specification that NVIDIA formerly owned, but apparently they're not servicing it anymore. And AMD and NVIDIA, they don't make the MXM boards. Those are made by third parties. So if you wanted to make an MXM module for your laptop, you have to design it. You have to do all the engineering, all the validation on it. It says, you know what, if we're going to do that, why don't we just make our own module? The MXM module itself is thicker. There's a connector on it that they said if they actually built this laptop with MXM, it would be probably 4 to 5 millimeters thicker. Because the Z, it just adds a lot of Z height. The main reason they use this is it has a thinner connector that was designed by the Workstation Group to make laptops thinner. A lot of people believe that all MXM modules are the same. I can go out and buy from anybody, and it doesn't work that way. It is. I don't think I've ever seen it work. I've done upgrades in laptops for MXM modules. It does not work that way. They're custom BIOSes. People have to make sure they even work in different designs. So it's not exactly something like I'm going to go buy a 2080 desktop card, put it in every single computer on Earth, and it'll work. It is not that way. They're very much almost custom designs.
Well, if this is highly custom, then what about the cost? Because that's a lot of people are worried. Like, hey, if this is the only place that you can get this kind of thing is from Dell and Alienware, but it's going to be at a price premium. Right. They're just trying to get more money out of us, Gordon.
Yeah, and I understand. I would think that too because I am very cynical. I do expect that of companies, but remember, MXM is not cheap. A MXM, you can go to Eurocom if you want to buy an MXM module for your older Alienware laptop, your Clevos. It's $1,200 for an MXM 1080 graphics card. I went on eBay, 1060s are $400, right? They're not cheap.
Yeah.
So they're not cheap. It's not like it's like, oh, well, they're so much cheaper. So if your standard is a 1080 graphics card in MXM, which is all essentially outdated at this point, don't think that MXM 2080 cards are going to be cheap. Dell told me, look, we're not making this to make a buttload of profit off this card. We are doing this because we have this dream. You know, Frank at Alienware has long had this dream of upgradable graphics. They're doing this. They want to be able to sell you down the road a card that you can upgrade. MXM and a lot of designs, it can be a little difficult to upgrade. Right? Depending how it's designed, there's so many different things. They basically built this to make it user serviceable.
Okay.
Right? Their intention with this is to make it so, hey, I want a laptop I can upgrade the graphics in. Between the Alienware, between brand Y, between brand X, that's a feature. So now you buy the laptop because you can upgrade the graphics. You bought their laptop, you didn't buy somebody else's. It doesn't help them sell this laptop if they say, the upgradable graphics will cost as much as the laptop. It doesn't work that way. At least what they're saying, that is their plan. Nothing is written in stone, right? There are no guarantees. You know, we'll see when they actually start selling the cards as upgrades. I don't know. I do think that is their intention because it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to sell an upgrade card that costs more than half the cost of the laptop.
True.
It doesn't make it an upgrade option at that point. I do believe, and I'm going to bet, I'm 75% certain that the upgrade module will cost less than an equivalent MXM module. But look what I'm comparing it to. An MXM module for $1,200. It's not going to be hard to beat that, right?
True, true. So obviously this laptop features the Alienware amplifier port, which you can still get around. Wouldn't it be more beneficial to get the amplifier and a desktop card than paying for the upgrade for the actual module inside?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really much depends on your use case. If your big laptop lives on the desktop 99.99% of the time, and you just like it because it's small and you can tuck it in a drawer, I think that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense financially. It's always cheaper to just buy graphics card, drop it in, don't worry about it, none of this stuff. But there are people who live out of Foot Lockers. There are traveling nurses. You know what? You gotta, hey, it's time to go. Pack it up, throw it in your Foot Locker, right? You can be like, oh, hey, Sarge, let me pack up my amplifier now, right? That's not gonna fly.
True.
It's they're very big. It's the right tool for the right job. And yes, external graphics makes a lot of sense for small laptops if you don't have to worry about the bulk. This looks like a lot to you, but I mean, honestly, I'm ready. Unplug it, ready to go. Jam in the backpack, I'm out the door.
True.
You still unplug in monitors. The other thing is like, well, what about like a small form factor machine? Well, small form factor is a lot more hardware. So, but again, there are reasons to do small form factor machines. There's reason to do external graphics, and there's reasons to do big ass gaming laptops. Okay. There is no one size fits all.
All right.
So,
so regardless of how that shakes out, I mean, that is pretty awesome to think that in the future you could take, a laptop that's a couple years old, maybe, starting to slow down a little bit in modern games at the time, and throw some new parts in that. I mean, that is the holy grail, and if anyone can do it right and to do it to scale, you would think it's probably Dell, right?
Right, that's what you'd hope, but there's no guarantees. They're not going to say absolutely, but they're pretty certain. And they also can't tell us what NVIDIA, what Intel, and what AMD are doing. One thing I'm a little concerned is the CPU here. If you buy the top-end 9900K with the Z390 chipset, are you going to be able to get Coffee Lake, whatever, Comet Lake, or whatever the next Intel CPU? I don't know. There's no guarantees. Intel could say we had to make a change. We need more power for the whatever chip. It's entirely possible it won't work. There's a good chance because Intel generally has realized they have to sort of use the socket as long as they can. So there's a good chance you can do an upgrade. But Alienware does say, hey, if you buy you buy the lowest to 8700 version, you can do 9900K. You can do it yourself. and you won't void the warranty.
Oh,
You
okay.
can upgrade
Well,
the graphics, you can upgrade the CPU, you can open it up, you can do it. As long as you're not going to go in there with a crowbar, it's covered under warranty. They're not going to come back and try to do the, oh, you opened it up, no warranty. They're saying we designed it, hopefully, so the end user could do the upgrade.
Okay.
Right now, in fact, they don't even have, because a lot of people says, well, I bought the 2060 version, I wouldn't buy the 2080. I don't quite understand that, because you bought the 2060, you should have just bought the 2080, because now you've really, there's no way that makes sense financially. Alienware says, we're going to do that. We are going to sell 2080 upgrade kits.
Okay.
We're going to, hopefully, probably within the next couple months, have a 2080 or 2070. So if you bought the 2080 or the 2070, you can step up. The 2070, the 2080 share the same thermal. The 2060 does not. So what'll happen is you'll pay for the 2080 upgrade kit. You'll get the beefier cooler, and you'll probably get like one of the 330s. Because if you have 180, then you'll get the 330. You'll basically be given an upgrade that will bring you up to that level. Upgrade options, again, you can do it yourself, hopefully. They've never tried anything like this before. Other companies have, they failed. They've not gone anywhere. I think the other company I was told try this. Their upgrade program was you send us a laptop, you get it back with the upgrade. Not quite what people want. Alienware says their vision for the upgrade is you do it yourself. But if they find that 100 of these people brick their laptops doing the upgrades, then they're going to be like, that's a problem because we can't pay for all these brick laptops now. They have one option is we send you the kit. Hopefully that works if you don't brick your laptops. Option 2 is they roll a truck, somebody comes to your house. Technician, just like some stores will send somebody to install your TV. They'll come, they'll install your GPU. That can be an option for the people that are squeamish. It's also an option for if people destroy all these laptops trying to upgrade them. So that is their vision for this. And nobody's ever succeeded doing this before. So we'll see. It hasn't been done.
Well, what's your overall takeaway of this? Is this the laptop to get if you're into gaming?
You know, I love the options. What's crazy, this laptop is lighter than the previous Alienware R5 17.
Wow.
So it's actually a little bit lighter, a lot faster. A lot of that is because of the magnesium body. They basically said they took the weight, went from aluminum to magnesium, put it all into beefier cooling, but made the actual shell a little lighter from magnesium.
Okay.
I love the options of upgrading your graphics card. This still has the old-fashioned Alienware amplifier port, which of course people bagged on when it was done 4 years ago. But it's still here. You can pick up Alienware amplifiers for $175 on Amazon all day. It's a lot cheaper than a lot of Thunderbolt 3 cabinets. It also does have Thunderbolt 3. They don't certify anything on their own, but they sell Thunderbolt 3 cabinets to do upgrades. So just the ability to change the CPU socket, everything is soldered these days. The ability to upgrade the graphics potentially, the ability to add external graphics either through Amplifier or Thunderbolt 3. I mean, this is it. If Alienware can pull this off and they can successfully do it, I think I can't see anything beating this right now. To me, yeah, $4,500 get you the specs we mentioned earlier. Pricey, but you are getting a crap load of performance, a crap load of features, and the ability, the holy grail of laptops. And I say this, I don't say that lightly because I've been saying that for many, many, many years, and the ability to change graphics in a laptop has never been achieved by anybody before. We'll see if they can pull it off. I think it's worthy of taking the risk versus a laptop that you know in 5 years is stuck. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. So we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for doing all this testing, Gordon. I know, like I said earlier, people were really excited to hear your results. So thanks for working those long hours and getting it done.
No, it's impressive.
Subscribe to our channel and watch more awesome laptop benchmarking coverage. And we will see you later.